Hello everyone and welcome to Pathology. So today I'm going to be making some sourdough bread to bake tomorrow. So sourdough does take a little bit of time to rise and all of that, but I'm gonna get most of it done today so it can rise overnight so that I can bake it tomorrow. So let's get started. Just a warning, this is not a recipe. I am not doing this correctly, more than likely. I haven't done this in probably a year and a half, and I really just want to bake something. I did not make a never mind, it doesn't matter. Okay, just know it's not a recipe, and I'm just kind of doing my own thing. But I got my sourdough starter right here. I'm going to be using 3 types of flour. I know, drama, you don't have to do this. I just had some leftover rye, and I don't know if I have enough all-purpose white flour. So I'm just gonna use some rye, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of spelt flour, but you don't have to. I don't even know if it's gonna turn out right. So let me just tell you the recipe if you want the recipe, but I just combined this from a bunch of YouTube videos I watched. But it's 300 grams of 90-degree water, 100 grams of starter, 500 grams of flour, and salt. So it's 4 ingredients. Well, it's really just 2. It's really just 3 ingredients: water, flour, and salt. Because this starter is just flour and water. And one way to tell if your starter is ready to go and ready to bake with is if it floats in water. So I'm gonna get some and we'll see if it floats. I hope it floats. Let's see. Can you see that? Oh, see, it is floating. So that means, at least to me, that it's ready to go. I'm gonna bake with it. And we'll just get started. How's everyone's day going? My day has gone pretty well. I talked to my friend Matthew, and he told me I should tell more stories about my life on the vlog. And yeah, maybe I'll tell a story about my life today, or just a story from my life. I'm going to King Dough, so maybe when I'm at King Dough or something, or when I get back or something, I will talk about it. Or I'll just share a story. Okay, so this calls for 500 grams of flour. I'm gonna mix it up, and I'm going to do is it really 500 grams? Dang. I'm going to do 300 grams of just regular, it is unbleached flour, and then I'm going to do 100 grams of rye and 100 grams of spelt flour. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see this. So I'm using a measuring weight, whatever it's called, just so I know I can hit my, I can get the exact measurement. Yeah, okay, so that's about 300 grams. And now I'm gonna put in this rye. This is very good for also helping your starter get active. But because I'm using this, I am going to increase the water. So I'm gonna put 100 grams of this rye in there. I hope this bread is okay. If it's not, we'll just keep making bread until I get it right. Maybe I will actually follow a proper bread recipe. It just takes so long, and I want to bake something this weekend, and I'm just doing it. And now I'm going to use 100 grams of spelt flour. And because you're putting in, I think because you're using rye and spelt, I'm going to increase the water just because I think it can be, I don't know, it can be a little bit more absorbent. I will say though, I got 500 grams exactly. I don't know if you can, well, I just took it off. I got 500 grams exactly. And now I'm going to put some of this water in there. This is 90 degrees of water, and I'm going to put 90-degree water, and I'm going to put 300 grams. It calls for 300 grams. I'm going to do 330, and we'll just see the texture after that. I hope I have enough water. Here is me pouring it. Okay, 330. And now I am going to mix this. So I'm just mixing it with my hands. Like I can't find my bread mixer, not bread mixer, but my bread scooper. So I just got to use my hands. But that's kind of the fun part, you know. That's what makes making bread very, very fun. And it's fairly easy. So it's turning into something. I'm very messy. This is so messy. The rye smells fairly sweet. Oh, I'm trying to get it to go down. Ooh. The rye is very sweet to me, at least. At least this rye smells sweet to me. So that's good. Now, what I'm actually going to do before putting in my starter, I am going to put this in a warm place for about 25 minutes. I'm just going to let some of the sugars break down in this mixture of flour and water, and then I'll add some of this starter, because I want the sugars in this flour to just break down enough for the starter for the yeast and the starter to be able to eat the sugar. I'm actually going to add a little bit more water. Oh, I'm breaking all the rules. I'm not even measuring it. Oh my goodness. This might be a disaster. I just feel like it needs more water. Also, this might be a super long vlog. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm just gonna let this mixture chill and sit. It's pretty much combined. This is just for the ingredients to get to know each other. And then I will add my starter. So here is the dough without the starter in it. I'm just gonna cover it with a towel and put it in my oven for about 20 minutes with the light on. It's just somewhere a little bit warmer to let the sugars of this mixture kind of get to know each other, and for the sugars to be released so that it will be easier for the yeast to eat the sugar. I'm going to be letting it rise in this baton basket. I think that's how you say it. I'll let it rise in that, and I will bake it in this Dutch oven. I think I'm just going to bake it in the Dutch oven. I feel like that will just be easier than putting it on directly on my like cooking stone steel thing. We'll try it in the Dutch oven, and if it doesn't work, whatever. I'll do it on the steel another time. But this is the mixture, and now I'm going to put it in the oven. The mixture is in the oven. It will be in there for about 25 minutes, and then I'll remix it and add the starter, and then from there we'll have to wait 12 to 16 hours. So tomorrow morning I will probably make bread. I'll probably do it 11 o'clock, 16 hours. So it's 5 p.m. right now. I'll just have to do it at that time. And here is my pizza peel or bread peel. And it's like a little conveyor belt, see? So you can put pizza on here, or you can put bread on here and slide it onto a stone very easily. Or you can also pick up pizza with it. You just go like that, and it picks up the pizza if you want to do that. I think it's pretty cool. My mom got it for me, I think this year, or yeah, for Christmas. She got it for me for Christmas. So I'll be using that at some point. But for now, I'm going to, again, just cook it in the Dutch oven, and we'll see what happens from there tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to order, I'm going to, after I mix the starter, then I'll order some king dough, and we'll go there. I'll see you in just a second. Bye. Hello, everyone. So this mixture has been sitting for about 25 minutes. I just put it in my oven. And now I'm going to add about 125 grams of starter. Originally, I was going to put 100 grams of starter, but I feel like because of the rye and the spelt flour, it might need a little bit more hydration. And so I'm just going to add a little bit more starter. Again, I'm not a baking expert, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to put this starter in. And again, I'm using a measuring, whatever it's called, kitchen thing. And I'm just gonna do this. So that's 75. And that's 100, that's 125. Okay, so now my starter is on top. I'm going to make little dimples to just make sure that the starter gets fully mixed in. And I probably should have wet my hands first, but whatever. And I'm going to just kind of fold the starter in. And basically I'm just mixing it together so that the yeast and this water dough mixture can get to, well, I guess it's just so they can start working together. Okay, so here is the final mixture before my bulk ferment. So I'm going to let this mixture, this dough, ferment for about 12 to 16 hours. And then from there, I'll put it into that little basket for 2 to 3 hours after, or sometime tomorrow. So after looking at the recipe again and just kind of remembering what to do, I let this bulk ferment, and then it will go into that basket for just a few hours. And then after that, I can bake it. So, you know, during this process, a lot of people, for the first maybe 15 minutes, they will, not first 15, for the first hour or so, they will stretch this every 15 minutes. So I'm probably not going to do that because this is just a lazy, no need bread. We'll just see what happens tomorrow. So if it turns out fine, great. Maybe next time I'll stretch it and, get into that or whatever. But for now, that's what's happening. I'll cover this. I'll leave it out on the counter. I'm not going to put it in the fridge, and that's what we're going to do. So, okay, now I'm going to order some king dough pizza and go get some king dough. I've been looking forward to it all week, and that's what I'm doing. I'll see you in just a second. Bye. So I'm here at King Dough. I'm waiting on my pizza, and there's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people at King Dough and in this parking lot. So my pizza is supposed to be done in about 7 minutes, but I think it's going to be more like 10 or maybe 14. So I'm just here. I'm just going to vlog a little bit. My friend Matthew, well, before I get into that, I want to show you this graffiti around me. Or art. I don't know if it's graffiti, but I don't know if you can see it. Right there, that building right there. Ooh, there's a lot of art over there. I don't know what it is. I feel like it might be a restaurant. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So my friend Matthew told me to share a life story, and I'm going to try to share a life story. These vlogs are not scripted, and I literally don't think about what I'm about to say probably 85% of the time before I start the camera. So I have no idea what story is about to come out of my mouth right now. Okay, so what is a story that's happened in my life that I can share? I guess every story technically is a story about my life. What's an experience? Oh, I feel like that's a youth thing over there. Okay, here's a thought. When I was in college, I worked for the Chicago Bears, and during training camp is when the Chicago Bears had to live together for a few weeks or a couple months or something. And it's like 6 weeks or 4. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They all have to live together in a college dorm. And I remember just at the beginning of Bears camp, it's a lot of media, a lot of excitement. And I was a concierge. Anyways, I worked kind of like at the desk where they would come get their key, their housing key, and I'm one of the people that would just be in their dorm if something bad happened, and I would help them, or if they locked themselves out, kind of just like a hotel person that did that. So I remember one night, I'm just chilling, and I think our shifts were, I think they're pretty late, maybe like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I don't know, I might be wrong. I don't remember. I just remember one day, Brandon Marshall started freaking out and screaming because his teammates did something to him. Okay, and it was like at night. So Brandon Marshall, if you don't know, I don't know like any of the Bears players except the ones I worked with, but Brandon he's not a Bear anymore. I think he's Denver, maybe. I have no idea. Anyways, he's a bigger than life attitude. He's fun. Like the first day of Bears camp, he came in those scooter things that are just one wheel. I don't know what they're called, but they were pretty popular. Like mall cops used them. You know what I mean? So he gets out of his whatever, like Ferrari or something, or muscle Camaro car or something, and I guess he asked the Bears to bring it for him, a Segway. Somehow, he got a hold of a Segway, and his first entrance was him like screaming and laughing on a Segway, and ESPN's there, and he's just like a fun guy. Well, one day his teammates, I think they pranked him, and they put a giant tarantula on his bed. So at some point, they went to PetSmart, and they bought this huge hairy tarantula, and they had him in a little box, and they brought him in, and I guess right before they knew he was going to come in, they put it on his bed, and he's just freaking out. And so that's a story. Anyways, at some point he got the tarantula, or someone did for him. They put it in a box, and they brought it to me, and they were like, please get rid of this tarantula. I don't care what you do with it. Just get rid of it. If you're still watching, comment down below tarantula or spider, or use the spider emoji. So I remember I had a tarantula to like figure out what to do with. So I just called the science department and asked like, hey, do you want this tarantula? Is this something you would want to keep as a pet or whatever? You know how, so if you didn't know, universities, they wouldn't dissect the tarantula. It's just they would keep it. Just like universities have aquariums or whatever, just, when kids want to come through, or they have snakes and stuff sometimes, and you can just look at them. So eventually I gave it to the science department, and they kept it for maybe a couple weeks, but then they returned it to PetSmart. I think that's what happened. So that's a story. Bears Camp has a lot of good stories, a lot of interesting stuff. But yeah, so there's a life story for you. I had a lot of fun working with them. Brandon was super cool. He's definitely he's just a bigger than life person, like very dramatic, very happy, and yeah. But I would say the nicest Bears I worked with was Kyle Long. He was cool. Well, I wouldn't say he was the nicest. he was super nice. He was super nice. There's a couple like lower profile people that were not as, you know, well, they were super duper nice, but they were not as famous. So yeah. And a couple of times, the benefit of working the job I was working was they would send me off to get food, because the food that they're served, it's fine, but it's not the greatest, and especially at the end of Bears camp. So like how the food would be is, at least at the time, was there was always some really healthy, specifically made food, and it was normally gourmet. So lobster tail and steak, or chicken, and so it's some form of meat. And then sometimes they would have like really interesting food you probably wouldn't eat unless you were an athlete. Like they would use potatoes, but it would be cauliflower potatoes, but it might be something special in it. So cauliflower potatoes are a big deal now, but back then it was not a thing. Like you didn't see it in the store. What else they would make? I mean, it was all types of just weird health food, but there was always a staple of lobster and steak and chicken that they could get. And then there was a whole candy store. So in the cafeteria, there's a candy store, and they could take whatever. So they would go in, they might get some Skittles. Imagine like the candy aisle at a checkout or a candy aisle at a gas station. It was just candy that you could take as much as you want. The Bears could, not me. So that's what was there. And then they had Gatorade refrigerators everywhere and water refrigerators everywhere, and you could drink as much Gatorade and water as you would want. And I remember they were sponsored by Gatorade, and what's it called? It's some blue something water. It's like a Chicago, Illinois water. It's the weirdest tasting water I've ever seen. If I can remember what it's called, I'll put it on the screen. But they sponsored the Bears, and so that was cool. You know, I could get water and Gatorade. And then at the end of Bears camp, because I worked there, and the Bears are sponsored by tons of people, so they get stuff sent to them wherever they're at. So at the end of Bears camp, I remember some of the guys would be like, hey, you can have this box of stuff. And it might, like, sometimes it's junk, but sometimes it's kind of cool. You know, I mean, one time I got a ton of coconut water, so that was cool. Another time I got a back roller, like a really fancy one that is medical grade. So that was really cool. And, you know, they would leave like unopened Gillette razors, because one of the guys, I don't know his name, but it was like on Brian Urlacher's level of famous, but he was sponsored by Gillette, and he had a bunch of Gillette stuff, and it was unopened, so I took them. I was like, yeah, that's free stuff, you know. So that was cool. That's a story. Okay, I'm gonna go get the pizza now, and I will be right back. Bye. Hello everyone, so I'm back from King Dough, and here is the pizza I got. I have not looked at it, so we'll see it. It looks great. Can you see it? So it's called a Big Boy pizza. It's pepperoni, sausage, red onions, and something else on it. I don't know. But that's what I got at King Dough. And I'm also going to call an audible on this bread. Okay, so I originally was going to let it rise tonight and then put it in this baton, but I am not. So I'm going to stretch this really fast and then put it in this baton and put it in the fridge. And I also forgot to mention to add salt. So I did add 10 grams of salt to this. So now I'm going to stretch it, which I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I'm going to do it. So, and it's going to be on a unfloured surface. Okay, I'm going to stretch this dough, and then we'll be good. So the gluten has developed pretty well, as you can see. Wow, yeah, it's good. I think this will be, I have a feeling this is going to be good bread. So yes, I did clean this counter and it should be good. I'm just doing this so that it will be tighter, and I'm folding it to give it some layers and get some air in it. Also, this part is very hard and I don't actually know what I'm doing. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put this bread in this basket. And yes, the cloth is on this part of it. I know some people don't put it right here. Some people use it to cover, but really it's goes like this. But if you want to get the lines of the wood on the bread, you can just, you don't have to use the cloth, but I'm going to. So I got my bread in this basket and I'm going to put it in the fridge now, and it will rise overnight, and then I won't have to make it rise again. So it will just be done. I'm going to just put it in the Dutch oven tomorrow, and we'll just see what happens. I mean, I'm sure something will be made. We'll find out. I think it will be good. I don't know. I think it's gonna rise. I was just nervous that it might overproof, and if it overproofs, it becomes like Jello, and I don't know if it would bake well, and I couldn't get it out of the basket and all of that. So that's all. Okay, everyone, I'm going to eat this pizza, and Emily is right here and she's going to eat the pizza. We're gonna go now. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Well, it's the weekend. I hope you all have a great weekend. If no one's told you this today, you are loved and this world's a better place because you are here. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. And we'll make this bread, and it will be very interesting to find out what it turns into. So, okay, bye. Also, I thought about making butter tomorrow. That would be kind of cool, and it's not very hard at all. So maybe I'll make butter tomorrow. That would be interesting. Okay, that's all. Bye.